This is CBC Here and Now.
At a standstill, Goose Bay Airport is shut down by a sticky problem.
It is really sad.
Posters promoting peace on campus are ripped up.
I will put 10 up for everyone that's torn down.
Sometimes we learn when we fall down and we hurt ourselves.
Fighting anxiety by failing.
We build resilience when we fail.
Well, make sure you have your umbrella handy if you're walking in the cold November rain in eastern Newfoundland on Thursday. And yeah, get those snowblowers ready for this weekend in Labrador.
If you're trying to get in or out of Goose Bay on a flight, you've got at least another 24 hours to wait.
The airport shut down last night after sealant used to fill cracks in the runway built up on the tires of heavy equipment. Here Now's Katie Breen has the latest.
They're not sure what the problem is. A team of airfield engineers is being brought in to figure that out. Sealant is part of regular summertime maintenance, but something's off. Goose Bay Airport is usually bustling. It's the hub for people flying to the north coast and workers going to Muskrat Falls or Voisey's Bay. But not today. Outside is where the action's happening. Trucks are driving over the runway trying to scrape off sealant that's sticking to tires.
At this point, they have been able to remove quite a large amount of the sealant. So right now we're just waiting for the experts to make an assessment to recommend where we go from here.
Experts coming from Winnipeg, of course, couldn't fly in. They had to get to another airport and drive, but they're expected to arrive this evening and do an assessment.
So they are coming so they can try and decide what did happen differently this year and why it's coming loose as opposed to other years.
The few passengers wheeling through the terminal are curious about what could have caused this too.
And since it's so vital, one would think that they would spend particular attention to make sure that problems like this didn't occur.
People are stuck on either end, some who need to get in, and others, like Roland Saunders, who need to get out. He has problems with his spine and is scheduled for an operation in St. John's tomorrow.
If it wasn't for the distance, I'd drive, but again, medically, I shouldn't even be in a position where I would be traveling on the road, so very difficult position to be in.
Officials have said emergency medical flights would be looked at on a case-by-case basis. Saunders was scheduled to fly out on a commercial flight, and that means he's stuck here for at least another 24 hours.
So the decision was made based on safety because no one had ever seen this sealant stick to tires like that before, and we weren't quite sure what the effect would be on the aircraft coming in and out. So until that could be decided, it was for safety reasons we decided it was better to cease all fixed-wing traffic.
Katie Breen, CBC News, Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
Memorial University is fighting back against what it's calling racist postering on campus. The Students' Union launched its own poster campaign today against Islamophobia and intolerance. Here Now's Ryan Cook has more.
Abdul Rahim Iqbal was nervous to speak in front of all these people, but it was too important not to. He's been troubled lately by a few anti-Islam posters spread around campus, but today he was warmed and motivated by the faces in front of him and by these posters being circulated by Munsu in response.
I'd like to talk to more people about Islam or even not be shy when I'm talking about my religion or representing my religion. And we might even hold more events from the MSA showing people, making people more aware of what Islam actually is and how it's not what everybody thinks it's about. It's more about peace and more about living in harmony and not what the posters said we are about.
The university spoke out last month after this poster was seen around campus. President Gary Kachanowski said they did not reflect school values, and VP Noreen Golfman called for them to be torn down. Then last week, more posters. Golfman took to the Mun Gazette with her response today. This is not a rhetorical exercise, she said. People have been assaulted and killed for no reason other than their religion or their self-identity. After the news conference, students spread the message. We followed a team to the tunnels below the UC where racist posters have been spotted. And then we found this. Pieces of the poster already ripped to shreds.
It's just sad, really, because I mean, the posters, as you can see, just say like no Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism. So they're just promoting a message of peace. And why would you be against that? Why would you be against something that is just? I mean, I don't think it's hurting anyone. Just to be nice, to be kind, to be positive. So yeah, it is really sad.
Sad, disappointing, frightening. But these students are in it for the long haul.
I will put 10 up for everyone that's torn down.
Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
It took 3 days, but a jury is finally in place at the Brandon Phillips murder trial. The 6 women and 6 men will begin hearing evidence tomorrow afternoon. The 12 jurors and 2 alternates were chosen from over 200 people. Madam Justice Valerie Marshall spoke briefly with the jury this afternoon, instructing them not to do any research or discuss the matter with anyone. Marshall said she'll give her instructions to the jury tomorrow, and the Crown will call the first witnesses in the afternoon. Phillips is charged with shooting and killing 63-year-old Larry Wellman during an armed robbery at the Captain's Quarters Hotel in October of 2015. Phillips has entered a not guilty plea on the charge of first-degree murder.
The at times chilly relations between this province and Quebec could be experiencing a thaw. And there's some speculation that it could lead to an agreement on an old sticking point, hydroelectric power. La Presse is reporting that this past summer, Quebec and the province agreed to team up to look into 2 items of shared interest: mining development in the Labrador Trough, which straddles the border, and a possible new highway along Quebec's lower North Shore. And it seems the feds may be willing to kick in some cash to build a regional transmission line connecting Quebec and the Atlantic provinces. But as the province's Minister of Natural Resources said today, no serious talks have happened just yet.
If you look at the Canadian internal free trade agreement, you would have seen in there a discussion that the provinces across the country have asked that Newfoundland and Labrador and Quebec come together to have a discussion on transmission. Those talks have not yet started, but the intent is there to have that conversation. Energy is in the Canadian free trade agreement. As you saw, I guess in the La Presse article, was the federal government saying, you know, we should be having discussions around transmission across our country, and these are good things to have.
And again, this all stems from a report in Quebec's La Presse, which stated the federal Liberal government is very supportive of such a line, describing it as a major step towards a national east-west transmission power corridor. In about 8 minutes, I'll speak with the bureau chief of La Presse.
For the second time in less than a week, a home in the northeast end of St. John's was hit by a suspicious fire. Firefighters and police were called to this home on Carrick Drive just after 2 o'clock this morning. The exterior of the home is extensively damaged, and there's fire and smoke damage on the inside. No injuries were reported. The house was also the scene of a fire early Saturday morning. Police are investigating.
After days of protests, the Legionnaire may be leaving Belle Island for Fogo Island as soon as tonight. Belle Island ferry protesters reached an agreement with the province last night. MHA David Brazel says protesters received some last-minute concessions, including a promise government will consult with Fogo Island and Belle Island before making any future ferry swaps. Protests began on the weekend when it was learned the Legionnaire would be lent to Fogo Island in return for a much older, smaller ship.
We're going to take a quick look at the weather, but you've got something kind of special to talk about.
Yeah, and there's a warning that goes with this. There's not much clothes involved.
Have a look. All right, girls, you ready? Yeah. Let's go. Coming up tomorrow on Here and Now, we're jumping into the pool with the St. John's Synchronized Swimming Club. Yeah, I did put a shirt on though.
Oh, I love the outfit.
I wasn't sure what
you should have had those water wing things on there to help you stay buoyant.
Yeah, you know what? That would have been a great idea. Anyway, I had a great time with the St. John's Synchronized Swimming Team, and you can catch that Full item tomorrow night on Here and Now.
That'd be a bit of a riot.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, as you saw, there no Speedo as well, which was good. Went with the board shorts.
Thank you.
Many are saying the same. Now, in terms of the weather, as I mentioned off the top, I had a little Guns N' Roses reference off the top of the show in case you missed it. Cold November rain, and in case you're walking in it tomorrow, you're going to want the umbrella.
Very subtle.
Yeah, exactly. For the east, it's really just the Avalon that I think we're going to be seeing the best chance of seeing some rain tomorrow. Northeasterly winds, again, are going to be gusting in the 40, 50, even 60 kilometer per hour range. Adding the rain, it's going to be just a raw November day. Showers begin in the morning. Again, it's the Avalon in particular. Could see a couple of showers edging out towards the Burin, Clarenville, Bonavista, but it's primarily, as I mentioned, an Avalon and St. John's Southern Shore story. Pretty quiet across the rest of the province. Some flurries squeaking into Labrador City. And so, again, watch for a frosty start. More wind shields to scrape into central, western Newfoundland, and, of course, Labrador. And temperatures staying below freezing in the west. We'll get into those mid-single digits across most of Newfoundland for tomorrow. And then, of course, looking into the long-range forecast, don't go anywhere. Special weather statements in effect in what looks to be the first big significant snowfall of the season for parts of Labrador. And this is going to be a big system for the island as well. Unfortunately, timing out for Remembrance Day. We'll have a closer look at that with your next 3 days coming up in just a few minutes. Anthony?
Thank you, Ryan. CBC has confirmed the controversial 2-year, $700,000 rent reduction for the St. John's Ice Caps was quietly extended in 2016. The City of St. John's approved the arrangement for a 3rd year. The total reduction amounted to $1,050,000. The Mayor of St. John's defends the move, saying it was a good financial decision. Mark Quinn reports.
In an email to CBC, St. John's Sports and Entertainment CEO Sheena McCrate calls it a travel subsidy. She says the 2-year deal to reduce rent for Danny Williams Ice Caps was extended for a 3rd year in 2016.
The whole purpose of reducing the rent was to keep the team here. So it kept generating approximately the $3 million of revenue that it was generating for Mile 1 each year.
Danny Breen was on council when that deal was cut. Now as mayor, he's defending it. He says it would have cost much more if the Ice Caps' rent wasn't reduced and the team stopped playing here at Mile 1.
What the rent reduction did is it invested in the economic development of the city, and it invested in Mile 1 and in the businesses downtown, and kept the team here for another 3 years.
The lease agreement wasn't hammered out here in public. Breen says the decision to extend it was also made behind closed doors.
Same reason, they were legal agreements at the time, and it was deemed by the clerk and the mayor at the time that they were legal in nature. Negotiations of leases were legal in nature and were decided in the private meeting.
Breen says the city's seeing the impact of the loss of hockey now. Last year, the subsidy to Mile 1 was about $800,000. This year, it's about $1.1 million. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Former St. John City Councillor Jonathan Galgay has a new job. He is the new Executive Director of the George Street Association. The group represents the interests of bars, shops and restaurants in the George Street area and oversees annual events like the George Street Festival, Mardi Gras and Canada's Big Birthday Bash. The former Ward 2 councillor says he plans to establish a new strategic vision, hoping to update infrastructure and improve safety and security. Ottawa raises hope about an east-west power corridor, but this province is tight-lipped.
The St. Phillips Women's Institute is a group of doers. Whether they're sewing mastectomy pillows, collecting for the food bank, or hosting card games, this group of incredible women never slow down. With over 25 annual initiatives to their credit and an unwavering sense of dedication, the St. Phillips Women's Institute has been an unstoppable force for building community spirit since 1991.
Could Newfoundland and Labrador finally bury the hatchet with Quebec over electrical power and move ahead with a regional transmission line? The Quebec newspaper La Presse is reporting that Ottawa likes the idea and is prepared to loosen the purse strings to make it happen if the provinces agree. Joël Denis Bellevance is the reporter who broke this story today. He's in Ottawa. So, Joël Denis, you did have a one-on-one interview with the Federal Natural Resources Minister, Jim Carr. What exactly did he have to say?
Well, without pushing the provinces too much in one direction, Mr. Carr is hoping that provinces across Canada will try to sort of come up with a deal to create sort of regional grids where it makes sense. In Eastern Canada, it would make sense, according to him, to have a regional grid that would include Quebec, Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI. So that would be a regional grid that could try to exploit better the hydroelectricity resources and replace the coals that we use to produce electricity, and even eventually export this kind of resources to northern part of the United States. So he mentioned to me that he's been encouraging Quebec and Newfoundland to settle and get on the same page as to what should be done to create that kind of regional grid. And he's mentioning that Ottawa is willing to pay a lot of money, well, some money and good money, to help these projects come to fruition. So this is an issue that Mr. Jim Carr holds dearly. He's been talking about this for the last two meetings he had with his whole provincial counterparts, and he wants that to happen in Eastern Canada, but also in Western Canada, a regional grid that would include British Columbia and Alberta, for example, and another regional grid that could include Manitoba and Saskatchewan, with the objective of reducing green gas emissions from those provinces.
Now, I want to get back specifically to our province. The Premiers Ball and Couillard have been talking in recent months, but our Natural Resources Minister, Siobhan Cody, said just a short while ago, they're not about electricity. They're talking about mining and highways. What do you say to that?
Well, that's true. That's part of the first discussions that could probably come to a deal within the next few months, maybe by the end of this year or early 2018. But also, as part of the free trade agreement, Canadian free trade agreement that was signed between Ottawa and the provinces, Newfoundland and Labrador agreed to try to also bring about or realize projects with other provinces to ensure the creation of a regional grid or better share grid to make sure that we can exploit those resources more efficiently. And that's where Madame Cody may be involved in future talks with Quebec on that issue. And I'm sure that with the help of Ottawa willing to put some money without, involving itself in the provincial jurisdiction of Newfoundland, Labrador, and Quebec, Ottawa being willing to put some money to fund those projects might be an incentive that may encourage Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador to also agree on some future collaboration on hydroelectricity projects.
Very interesting, Joël Denis. Now, historically there's been this huge rift between Newfoundland and Labrador and Quebec because of the Upper Churchill contract. If they do get serious about a transmission line, what might be in it for Newfoundland and Labrador? Could a renegotiation of the Upper Churchill be on the table?
That remains to be seen. I know it's an old wound for Newfoundland and Labrador that has not been able to cure in a satisfactory fashion for Newfoundland and Labrador. Those discussions will have to happen between the two governments. I cannot predict what will be the result of it, but if there is good and honest discussions on future projects, it might help solve this issue as well. And you know what? There will be a provincial election in Quebec, and Mr. Couillard is interested in investing more in future future hydroelectricity projects if it does help reduce green gas emissions elsewhere. And also the other competing party, la Coalition Avenir Québec, is also determined to increase collaboration with other provinces. So the mood is probably changing in Quebec. Is it up to a point to satisfy Newfoundland and Labrador? That remains to be seen, though.
Joël Denis Bellavance, thank you very much for your perspective on this story.
Thank you so much.
It's interesting because that's a pretty big carrot if Ottawa's trying to find a way to get Quebec and Newfoundland to sort of, hey, we got some money to put on the table, what do you think? It's interesting.
It is interesting, and it's also interesting we have 3 Liberal governments in this province.
That's true.
Quebec and in Ottawa.
Yeah, if you had a sovereignist government in Quebec, there wouldn't, this would not, we wouldn't be on here now tonight, put it that way.
Definitely a bottle of nerves when I was younger. I was always concerned that people would...
Why are students at MUN opening up about having anxiety?
This weather update is brought to you by the Take Charge Business Efficiency Program. Over 400 businesses have saved energy and taken charge of their bottom line. Find out how you can too.
What?
Well, we're just laughing about this picture we're about to show because it is the season of boil-ups and cook-ups. And so we were trying to speculate as to what's in the pan. And Debbie said, oh, it must be fish. And I said, it looks like maybe some hot dogs to me, some wieners.
We should show them.
Yeah, I guess we should show them the picture. So
That's a bit of fish. What do you think?
It's a tubular fish.
Yeah.
Touton?
Oh no, it's bologna. It's bologna chunks.
You're right. I think it is bologna chunks.
Yeah. Our director is setting us straight.
Yeah.
Rod Dobbins says it's bologna.
Of
it's
course.
just that the color I couldn't see.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Great advertisement for Heinz beans there as well, of course. And drop of tea, of course.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thanks, Pansy. That's a great
Yeah.
shot.
Great
Not
looking fire.
exactly sure where this was taken, but
I can smell it.
The time of year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And certainly as we look across the province tomorrow, if you're heading out, it will be boil-up weather, pretty decent, west of the Avalon. Not so much on the Avalon where we have some rain coming in. And look at those temps right now. If you're heading out in the next little bit, 2 degrees in St. John's, feels like -3 as we break out the old wind chill map as we roll into November. -13 in Labrador City right now. And you can see the clouds certainly dominant. A few showers offshore. And this is on the leading edge of this next system, which is still well to the south. But most of the rain we'll see will be on the northern edge of this system. As we move forward into the weekend and our big Friday, Saturday system, it is really yet to develop. It will be developing with this little low that will really take shape over the Great Lakes over the next 24 hours. And here's how it's going to play out. Watch the winds tonight into tomorrow. Some gusts in the 50-kilometer-per-hour range. Showers on the doorstep through the drive to work tomorrow. So do be prepared to encounter some rain on the drive to work. But it looks like it's mainly mid to late morning where those showers become periods of rain, and through the middle part of the day is when we'll see the rain at its heaviest. There are your overnight and morning lows. -5 Grand Falls, Windsor to Corner Brook, -6 to 8 for inland parts of Labrador under relatively light winds. So again, I think it's an Avalon story. St. John's down the southern shore. Precip drops off pretty quickly to the west. Isolated shower chances, the Burin, Clarenville, Bonavista, Vista, and then into central Newfoundland, the west, it's sun and cloud looking pretty nice, and just a few flurries on the menu for you folks in western Labrador. Looking at those northeasterly winds gusting 50 to 60, so it's going to be raw for sure. And again, brighter and a little bit warmer, maybe 7 degrees along the southwest coast tomorrow, and temperatures into low double digits on the plus side for southeastern parts of Labrador. We'll be at -2 in the west with a few flurries moving in there. So here's how things will shape up on Friday. We've got northerly winds continuing, and it's going to keep temps cool to start the day on Friday, certainly in the east. Winds will shift to a little more southerly into the afternoon on the leading edge of this next system. Snow into Lab West for Friday afternoon. Periods of rain, some gusty winds. Rec House will really be rifling those winds, will be for Friday afternoon into Friday evening. And again, temperatures on the rise, 6, 7, 8 degrees. 8 degrees along the southwest coast with that afternoon rain, and Labrador City into the snow. And then that will continue to push in across Labrador with periods of snow and some very strong winds. Rain moves in across the island. Friday evening plans, make sure they include an umbrella. And then as we move into the Saturday morning time period, which is of course Remembrance Day, I think the big story for Remembrance Day in the east will be the winds gusting. Rain looks set to clear through the early morning hours. Along the west coast, those are onshore flurries and snow squalls firing up along the west coast and even the south coast into the afternoon. And look at those gusts, 70, 80, even 90-kilometer-per-hour potential for those winds, with snow and blowing snow continuing in Labrador. And so unfortunately looking pretty stormy in Labrador on Remembrance Day, as well as western Newfoundland. And again, I think the big story will be the wind here in the east. We'll keep you posted on this. And in terms of those snowfall amounts, yeah, we'll take a crack at those coming up in just a few minutes. And we'll also tell you about our weather word of the day. Give you a few minutes to think about this one. Naughty. Details in a couple.
Well, yesterday on the show we talked about a harsh and serious topic, suicide. You're about to meet some university students who can actually relate to that topic. They're all dealing with anxiety, and they've all had some very dark thoughts.
As Here Now's Ramona Deering tells us, they feel compelled to speak out.
Angel is a therapy dog. Just looking at her makes you feel better. And these students are consumed by midterms.
Well, it's been a stressful week, so she's making me feel really, really awesome. She's cute. Yeah, she's adorable.
That's why you'll find therapy animals at the University Centre on Thursdays and exam days, including this certified service animal. Actually, there are 2 bearded dragons. Jill Jablonski can't stop petting Yuki.
Oh my goodness, I feel completely swamped because I fell behind on my homework and some papers, and a lot of people in my classes are feeling the anxiety of having our due date sneaking up on us really soon.
Owner Brianna Boland says she wouldn't be able to go to class without them.
So they help my social anxiety. Normally I wouldn't be able to be on camera or talk to anybody without these 2 with me.
According to MUN's own numbers, 1 in 4 students say they have some anxiety. 1 in 8 might have an actual anxiety disorder. 4 students who've been diagnosed agreed to talk to CBC News. They've been through a lot, and they're on a mission.
I mean, looking back on it now, I know when I was young, that's when it started. But I didn't fully accept it and realize it until fall of last year when I was in clinical rotation and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I was vomiting before clinical rotations. I'd get on the floor, I'd vomit. Like, I couldn't handle it, and it was when it became physical for me. It's like, I've got to talk to someone about this. This is starting to take over my life, starting to impact my patients and my care.
Well, I was definitely a bottle of nerves when I was younger. I remember being like 5 years old on the soccer field and like biting my fingernails and was so nervous growing up.
Well, for me, it's probably been about 7, going on 8 years now that I've started having issues with anxiety and other mental health related issues from when I used to play hockey on the mainland in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. I was a defenseman, and in my 3rd year playing away, I suffered my 4th or 5th concussion, and this is when a lot of the emotional, mental symptoms started coming around.
So when I was in grade 7, I started to have a lot of trouble dealing with just basic everyday events, and it got so bad that my parents and my doctor, who I see regularly, suggested that I enter psychotherapy because they were concerned that I was a danger to my own safety. Even after I saw a therapist and had treatment, I still have problems every now and then if I experience a major life event. So a member of my family was really sick earlier this year, and I started having trouble breathing when that was going on. I was bullied a lot in school, so that was a big part of creating social anxiety. So I was always concerned that people didn't like me or that people in my class wouldn't talk to me.
But I can remember a string of days, playing hockey away. The biggest joy was going to the rink, but where I was undergoing my concussion and treatment for that, they told me just to stay home and relax. But I could remember a string of days, weeks in which I didn't leave my room. And I started thinking to myself at first that it was due to the concussions, and I was trying to let the physical symptoms subside. But after a couple of days of just pretty much sitting in the darkness just with myself, I started to think more so the fact that this isn't something physical right now. This is something emotional. This is something mental.
Weeks going by and not being able to go to class, not being able to go to work, and just calling in sick and just avoiding everything.
My biggest point was my first year at university when I was studying Bachelor of Science. My aunt and uncle had been killed in June, and I moved from Nova Scotia here in September. And so I was really anxious all the time, but depression started to fuel as well. And I was, again, with Brad and Katharina, I couldn't get out of bed, or if I was in bed, I'd wake up clenching the sheets, they'd be soaked, I'd be crying. So that's the anxiety was manifesting overnight, and I didn't know it. I'd go, days without showering, I'd eat 1 meal a day kind of thing. So the anxiety kind of balled into depression, and which balled into suicidal ideation. And towards the end of the semester, it was pretty bad. Residence life was in my room quite frequently and having to handle me. I ended up with a 0.2 GPA that semester. I failed 4 out of 5 courses and passed the last one with a 50.
It's almost like there's two of you.
You know, you have your kind of your outer self, like not getting philosophical or anything, but like you have your outer self, and you have that inner, I just call it like an inner darkness, like an inner voice. And that inner voice is telling you, like, you're not good enough. You can't do this situation. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're not going to be this. And in turn, that voice is telling you sometimes, yeah, like, this isn't worth it. You know, you're either going to live or you're not.
You become so low that you start thinking, well, maybe I'm better off dead.
I would be lying if I said that there weren't days when I went to bed and thought it would just be easier if I didn't wake up, right? And that's actually the first time I've ever said that out loud, but...
Going through playing hockey, you know, having that whole athlete and that male aspect of, for me, thinking that it was those two were stigmatizing factors for me to seek help. And once I kind of broke through those little bit of barriers, I understood that in order for me to get better, I needed to talk.
I think once I realized that I wasn't the only one hurting, that I was hurting, you know, my best friends, I was hurting my family around me, I realized, like, I need to do something about this, and I need to get help.
I'm 23 and I'm on 5 psych meds right now. So the stigma of that, I know I feed into it on myself, but I know if I'm not on them, it's not a good time for myself or anyone around me.
You'd be really surprised of how many people actually can relate or can understand, and that if they're a student at Memorial, if they can come to the counseling center and to talk to somebody here, it'll help a lot.
That whole concept of talking has kind of lost its touch now with the emergence of iPhones and devices and technology and all that, but talking to someone just face to face, even just listening to them.
Hopefully the 4 of us have inspired at least one student to come into the counseling center and talk about what's going on.
Failing forward, why one wellness coordinator says that could be the answer to combating anxiety.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Earlier on tonight's show, you heard from some students at Memorial University, and they gave us some very candid descriptions of what it's like to live with anxiety. 1 out of every 8 students at MUN might have an anxiety disorder. Peter Cornish believes that young people need to learn something that he calls failing forward. Peter's the director of MUN's Student Wellness and Counseling Center. Peter, welcome to Here and Now.
It's my pleasure.
Failing, isn't that what causes anxiety?
Well, for some people it does, but it also is something that's very natural that we need. We build resilience when we fail. And so we're encouraging people on our campus, professors and students, that to embrace failure as a way of learning about their mistakes and moving forward.
All right. Now, I take it from what I understand, one of your principles is that you believe that perhaps we're too coddled when we're younger?
Well, I'm not so sure it's coddled. I think parents and educators have done what psychologists like myself used to tell them to do, which is to support them, to prevent them from having accidents. And I think we've taken that a little bit too far. And so one example of where we might start shifting is thinking about playgrounds as places that don't have to be completely safe.
Really?
Yeah, so we pad everything in a playground.
Yeah.
But sometimes we learn when we fall down and we hurt ourselves, or even break an arm. And those kinds of things are not necessarily life-threatening, but they do teach a lesson.
Well, the number of times that I fell off a slide or got banged around a merry-go-round with my brothers, many, many times.
Built resilience.
Yep, and some would say a little bit of character.
Absolutely, yeah.
The number I cited in the intro, 1 out of every 8 might have an anxiety disorder. Why is that so high?
Well, some of it is because we're talking more about mental health, and so people are self-reporting more. And it's also because they are self-reports, and so these are not necessarily people that have been seen by a professional, but they're describing that they have these symptoms. So it's an overestimate. But I think the 1 in 8 in terms of serious mental health problems, that's not unusual. That's what we expect, especially in this transition from adolescence to adulthood. It happens at every university.
Now, we heard from the students before the break, and we wanted to get some professors on this, but it's a fairly sensitive subject, and professors didn't really want to get in front of a camera. But we did have one professor tell CBC that at times this person felt more like a counselor than an instructor. What advice do you have for professors if a student comes forward and says, listen, I'm having a hard time functioning, I have so much anxiety? What advice do you have for that, Prof?
So the first thing I would say is assume that they're reasonably healthy first, and talk to them like you would anybody else, and listen and allow them to tell their stories. If that doesn't work, if they're still upset, maybe you meet with them again another time, then refer them for professional help. But you can also tell them to talk to their friends and families about it.
You talk about talking, and one of the students mentioned that, and he also mentioned that we're in a society now where everybody's communicating this way or this way. Is that a problem?
I think it's an opportunity. Yeah, because we do know that for well-being, face-to-face contact is important, but that's not all we need. We are now immersed in the technology, and so it's really important to kind of make sure that technology has healthy components in it. So we're experimenting with e-mental health tools. That's where young people live. I think we can develop a program, and we already are, that help them in that space so that on top of face-to-face, they're actually getting something more that they can have 24/7.
All right. And very quickly, for parents or friends of students who they might think have anxiety issues, what should they do?
Don't panic. Listen, talk. Assume your kids or your friends or family members are more well than they aren't. And if that doesn't help, consult with experts and perhaps refer on to a physician or to a mental health provider.
Okay. Peter, thank you very much for coming on Here Now.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
In national news, Justin Trudeau says the government is working hard on a free trade deal with countries in the Pacific Rim. Speaking while on a visit to Vietnam, the Prime Minister says his government is working hard to renegotiate the Trans-Pacific Partnership. 11 countries are trying to revive TPP after President Donald Trump pulled out of the agreement in January. Trudeau says his ministers are working towards a new agreement, but will not be rushed into signing a deal that doesn't benefit Canadians.
The federal government and the Senate have reached a compromise on changes to the Indian Act. Under these changes, new amendments will help eliminate discrimination against Indigenous women. The original legislation and its definitions date back to 1876 and focused primarily on men. It ended up denying women many of the powers and privileges related to their Indian status, including, most importantly, their ability to pass it on to their children. A Quebec Superior Court ruled last year that violated the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's estimated that eliminating this discrimination will boost the number of people with Indian status from 80,000 to about 2 million.
Saturday is Remembrance Day. Join me, Anthony Germain, for live coverage on CBC Radio 1 as well as Facebook Live. It all starts at 10:55 Island Time, 10:25 in most parts of Labrador. That's Remembrance Day coverage here at the National War Memorial in downtown St. John's this Saturday morning.
Time to introduce our young athlete of the day. This is Jackson Taylor of Botwood, who's 11 years old and loves hockey.
And Jackson plays forward with the town's minor hockey team, the Botwood Blades, and Jackson also enjoys playing street hockey and soccer.
Congratulations, Jackson. You're today's young athlete of the day. All right, so last time we checked in with the weather, I told you about our weather word of the day. Truth be told, Debbie and Anthony had a little heads up on this. They did unfortunately see the word, so I can't really ask you because you already know. But did you kind of have an indication though?
Well, it wasn't good weather.
Yeah, that's right. Naughty can't be good.
No.
I thought it had something to do with wind breaking trees or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing, because the knot threw me off.
Pretty good guess. Now, of the weather, rough and stormy, but the reference here from 1924, you can see it actually references naughty water. And so I did post it on my Facebook page and say, if you've heard of this or used it, was it for the skies or the seas? I'm interested to hear what some of the folks have to say. So facebook.com/ryan.snoddon.
I love these words.
Me too.
1924 England.
Yes. Okay. So speaking of naughty weather, special weather statements are in effect from Environment Canada, and this is for Labrador City, Churchill Falls, Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and the north coast of Labrador, where we have some winter weather coming in. Snow, wind, and yes, obviously the combination of the two, blowing snow. And this is the low. It's going to be moving into the Great Lakes, even bringing some snow to southern Ontario. They're all dialed up about that, of course. And as we roll into our neck of the woods for Friday and into Saturday in particular, and here's how it will play out. Area of high pressure, it moves off, and that's going to allow this low to bring some showers to the Avalon, even some periods of rain. St. John's down to the southern shore through the day on Thursday. Some flurries moving into Labrador City. That low departs, and so it's a pretty quiet start to Friday. But as we look off to the south, here comes our low with some snow into Labrador City as early as Friday morning. Light, but it will ramp up through the day. Rain will push into the southwest coast for Friday afternoon. Some strong winds ramping up here as well. Likely we'll see some wreck house wind warnings in effect, and we will see that wind also ramping up in Labrador City. Snow into Happy Valley, Goose Bay, at least, if not into the afternoon, then by evening. And it looks like some higher elevation snow for the northern peninsula here, but primarily this is going to be a rain and wind event for Friday night across the island. By Saturday morning, the rain looks to have cleared, and so that's good news for the Remembrance Day ceremonies, but the wind is really going to be howling in from the southwest, gusts 70, 80, 90 kilometers per hour along parts of the island. Best chance of 80 to 90 would be the northern peninsula, and those onshore flurries and even some squalls, both shower and flurry squalls in nature for Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. The snow and blowing snow continues along that coast of Labrador, and so as a result, temperatures are going to be below freezing on Saturday there. So there's a quick snapshot, in case you missed it earlier, of the next three. And again, temperatures riding below normal for sure for everyone. In terms of snowfall, hesitate showing you this, but you know, you folks in Labrador, I think you can handle it. By Friday afternoon, forecast models flirting with 10 to 15 centimeters in Labrador City, and forecast model projections, including the Euro here, showing a solid swath of 30 plus centimeters from Labrador City to Churchill Falls up to the north coast, 30 plus by Sunday morning. That's just one model, but the other model's not far off that. So certainly the potential there, still a ways out, but giving you the heads up. Make sure that snowblower, the spark plugs are changed and she's all gassed up. Now, as we roll into the Sunday time period, area of high pressure moving in, clearing us out. Now, I was talking yesterday about a midweek system potentially moving in on Tuesday. Forecast models are kind of holding that off until Wednesday now. So keeping a close eye on that for mid next week for some unsettled weather. And there's a look at the next 7. Again, kind of a quiet stretch Monday, Tuesday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that is, but certainly keeping an eye on that situation for mid next week. That's your forecast to now.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, Canadians have been coming up with all sorts of ways to celebrate the country's birthday this year. 3 men in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia created their own Canada 150 challenge. And as Colleen Jones tells us, they've met their goal.
A special cake today.
It's a day to celebrate.
Our 150th act.
We first told you about Mark, Brent, and Luke 7 months ago. 3 guys with one idea to do 150 acts of kindness. We're tagging along for their final one at this Halifax warehouse. What are you doing today?
We're making shoes.
You're getting shoes together, aren't you? The trio's charitable acts of kindness is helping Luke McDonald's charity called Fit It Forward. They give new shoes to people at homeless shelters throughout Halifax, Dartmouth. He's just received this huge shipment of donated new shoes. But there's a hitch. They all need to be sorted. Enter Mark, Brent, and Luke.
I know Leo, who knows Paul, who knows Mark, and that's the way Halifax and Dartmouth is.
Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody.
And they had this thing going on, and I said, oh my jumpins, could there be a better community mix than this?
Leo McKenzie helps them with their acts of kindness.
They have great abilities, and they want to give back to their community, and it energizes others, it inspires others.
They've done everything from entertaining at senior homes to making muffins to sorting food at the food bank. Now they're sorting shoes.
We worked hard in the community, and all 3 of us did a lot, and we finally came to a conclusion that we finally finished.
Their acts of kindness haven't gone unnoticed. They've been invited to a big celebration next week hosted by their MP, Darren Fisher.
Making selfless contribution of kindness to others.
Now that they've completed number 150, don't think for a minute that they're done. They're already asking, where can we help?
We want to do more, so we can't let Better Together end.
Because they found out we're all a little better when we work together. Colleen Jones, CBC News, Halifax.
When it comes to jury duty, few are chosen, but many are called as a matter of civic responsibility. And provided you're not too old, nobody is exempt, not even those who once held the most powerful political office there is. Arriving by motorcade, former President Barack Obama checked in today with hundreds of other potential jurors in Chicago. If you look closely, you can see him chatting with court employees behind those glass doors. Obama was dismissed within 2 hours, but he'll still get paid the daily rate, $17, well, at least they're American dollars. He said he's going to be donating that to charity.
And once again, how about 2 days in a row? Our weather picture of the day.
Beauty.
Now this one is from the Big Land, which is not shocking, but can you guess where in the Big Land?
Just sliding into place with the very latest.
Yes, absolutely. Santa right here.
Now, before we get to today's viewer picture, let's go back to yesterday's from Harbour Mill. There it is, a beauty, a beauty. And you said it looked like a shot that you might have drawn
when you were a kid.
As a child.
That's right, but not a very good one, I'm sure. You didn't find a picture, did you?
Funny you should mention that.
Oh, no.
CBC Investigates got in touch with your mother, and she provided us young Ryan Snoddon's artwork. So let's take a look at some of, there you go, the eternal hockey player that you are. A close-up. So you see the detail's almost the same as that picture. And there's the stick itself, of course, with absolute precision. And my favorite, Dad.
I love farming.
So there you go.
That's actually not bad, although I think that I traced that. No doubt I traced that. The first one, it's a little rough. I was probably 15 when I drew that.
I guess we better get to today's picture, the beautiful shot of the Big Land. Taking a bit of ribbing here.
Thanks for that, Mom. Really appreciate that.
I know she's watching.
Absolutely. Yes, quick look at our picture, and again,
did you draw like this too?
Yeah, that's right. My mom couldn't find those. Have a look. Again, Rod said this gave it away. Larry Jenkins is a school teacher in Lab West, and he's also a fantastic picture taker of the Northern Lights.
Gorgeous.
One of the best.
Absolutely beautiful.
Hard to take a bad picture of that.
Thank you so much. And thanks to Mom Snoddon.
How did I know?
We'll have more art tomorrow. Have a good night.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.